When Pope Leo I walked into Benedetti's fine cleaning with his most precious ceremonial vestments just days before the Vatican's biggest Easter celebration, he expected simple professional service. But when the militant atheist owner spotted what he called costumes for fairy tale believers, his reaction shocked everyone in the shop. What he did next wasn't just unprofessional, it was an act of pure hatred that would expose years of hidden discrimination. But he had no idea that everything was being recorded, and the truth about to surface would shake him to his very core. But before we dive in, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. The morning sun streamed through the windows of Benedetti's fine cleaning as Pope Leo I entered carrying a large garment bag containing his most treasured possession, the ceremonial vestments worn by St. Peter himself, now reserved for only the most sacred occasion. Easter Sunday at the Vatican would mark his first major papal celebration, and these ancient robes required the delicate care that only the finest cleaning establishment could provide. Sofia Martinez, a 19-year-old college student working the morning shift, looked up from the counter with genuine surprise. The Holy Father himself had walked into their small Chicago shop, just blocks from where he'd grown up as Robert Prevost decades earlier.
Your Holiness,
She whispered respectfully, setting down her textbook.
how may we help you?
Pope Leo smiled with that characteristic warmth that had endeared him to millions.
Good morning, Sophia. I have some rather special garments that need the gentlest possible care.
He carefully placed the garment bag on the counter.
They're quite old and incredibly delicate.
From the back office, the sound of heavy footsteps approached. Vincent Benedetti, the shop's owner for 37 years, emerged wiping his hands on a stained apron. At 62, his face bore the permanent scowl of a man who'd spent decades nursing grievances against the world.
What's all the whispering about?
Vincent demanded, then stopped short when he saw the figure in white papal robes. His expression immediately darkened.
Oh, you've got to be kidding me.
Sophia's face flushed with embarrassment.
Mr. Benedetti, this is Pope Leo I 14th. He needs...
I know exactly who he is,
Vincent interrupted, his voice rising loud enough to be heard throughout the shop.
and I know exactly what he represents.
The few customers browsing the shop turned to stare. An elderly Italian woman clutched her rosary, while the businessman looked up from his phone with growing alarm. Pope Leo remained perfectly calm, his hands folded peacefully.
Mr. Benedetti, I simply need some ceremonial vestments cleaned for Easter Sunday. Sophia was just...
Don't.
Vincent cut him off sharply, pointing an accusatory finger.
Don't you dare try to charm me with that fake humble act. I've seen your type before.
Sophia stepped between them, her voice shaking.
Sir, please. He's just a customer.
Customer.
Vincent's laugh was harsh and bitter.
He's the head of the world's largest pedophile protection agency, and you want me to treat him like a customer.
A shocked gasp echoed through the shop. The elderly Italian woman crossed herself and hurried toward the door, while the businessman began fumbling for his phone camera. Pope Leo's expression remained serene, though his eyes reflected genuine sadness.
Mr. Benedetti, I understand you have concerns about the Church's past. Those concerns are valid, and we're working every day to...
Working?
Vincent exploded, his face reddening.
You're working. What you're doing is covering up decades of abuse while living in golden palaces.
Sophia pulled out her phone and began recording discreetly, her hands trembling as she witnessed the verbal assault on the Holy Father.
The Church has indeed failed many people,
Pope Leo acknowledged quietly.
which is why reform and accountability...
Save it for the cameras.
Vincent snarled.
I don't serve pedophile protectors in my shop. Take your costumes and get out.
The businessman near the window had his phone raised openly now, live streaming the confrontation to his social media followers. Within minutes, the hashtag #PopeAttacked was beginning to trend. Pope Leo picked up his garment bag with dignity intact.
I understand your anger, Mr. Benedetti, but perhaps...
Perhaps nothing.
Vincent interrupted.
You people think you can just waltz in anywhere and expect respect because of your little white dress.
Sophia couldn't contain herself any longer.
Mr. Benedetti, this is wrong. He's done nothing to...
Did I ask for your opinion?
Vincent whirled on the young woman.
You keep your mouth shut, or you can find another job.
Pope Leo stepped protectively closer to Sophia.
There's no need to threaten your employee. This is between us.
Threaten?
Vincent's eyes gleamed with malicious satisfaction.
I'm not threatening anyone. I'm simply exercising my right to refuse service to representatives of criminal organizations.
The live streaming businessman whispered urgently to his viewers.
This is absolutely insane. The Pope is literally just standing there peacefully, while this guy goes ballistic.
Vincent noticed the phone's recording and his anger intensified.
Oh, perfect. Now I'm going to be the villain, because I won't kiss the ring of someone whose organization has destroyed thousands of children's lives.
Pope Leo's voice remained steady despite the vicious attack.
Mr. Benedetti, if you've personally been hurt by the church, I want you to know.
Don't you dare!
Vincent's voice cracked with rage.
Don't you dare try to therapize me. You don't know anything about my life.
But something in Vincent's tone had shifted. The raw pain beneath his anger was beginning to show through the cracks. Sophia continued recording as Vincent circled around the counter like a predator.
You know what? You want your precious robes cleaned? Fine. I'll clean them for you.
He grabbed the garment bag from Pope Leo's hands before anyone could react.
Mr. Benedetti,
Pope Leo said urgently.
those vestments are over 1,500 years old. They're irreplaceable.
Everything's replaceable.
Vincent sneered, unzipping the bag. As the ancient ceremonial robes emerged, even he seemed momentarily awed by their intricate gold work and delicate fabric. But his hatred quickly overshadowed any appreciation.
These are beautiful.
Sophia whispered, moving closer with her phone still recording.
They're like museum pieces.
Museum pieces.
Vincent repeated mockingly.
Stolen treasures bought with the blood money of abuse victims.
Pope Leo stepped forward, his patience finally showing strain.
Those vestments have been worn by papal saints. They're consecrated for sacred...
Sacred?
Vincent's laugh was cruel.
Nothing you people touch stays sacred for long.
The businessman live streaming had gained over 10,000 viewers as word spread across social media. Comments flooded in from around the world, most expressing outrage at Vincent's behavior. Vincent noticed the growing crowd of phones and his expression turned truly dangerous.
You want a show? I'll give you a show.
He disappeared into the back room, returning moments later with a large bottle of industrial bleach. Sophia's eyes widened in horror.
Mr. Benedetti, what are you
I'm cleaning these robes exactly like they deserve to be cleaned,
Vincent announced, unscrewing the bleach cap with theatrical flourish. Pope Leo stepped forward urgently.
Please, those vestments are part of church history. Whatever anger you have toward me, don't destroy something that belongs to all believers.
All believers.
Vincent raised the bleach bottle over the ancient robes.
What about all the victims your believers created? What about their history?
The businessman's livestream viewer count had exploded to over 50,000 as news outlets picked up the feed. Save the Robes was trending alongside Ahas Pope Attacked. Sophia kept recording, tears streaming down her face as she watched Vincent prepare to destroy priceless religious artifacts. Mr. Benedetti. Pope Leo's voice carried new authority.
I'm asking you not as Pope, but as one human being to another. Please don't do this.
Vincent's hand trembled slightly as he held the bleach. For just a moment, the pure anguish in Pope Leo's eyes seemed to reach something buried deep inside him. But then his anger flared again.
You think I care about your feelings? Did your priests care about the feelings of their victims?
The bleach began to pour. Pope Leo dropped to his knees as the chemical hit the ancient fabric, his anguished cry echoing through the shop.
No, please!
Sophia screamed and rushed forward, but Vincent blocked her path. The live-streaming businessman began shouting,
He's destroying priceless religious artifacts. Someone call the police.
The bleach spread across the golden vestments like acid, dissolving threads that had been woven by medieval masters. Colors that had survived wars, plagues, and centuries began to fade before their eyes.
Stop!
Pope Leo pleaded, reaching toward the robes.
Please, I'm begging you.
Vincent poured more bleach, his face twisted with savage satisfaction.
How does it feel to watch something sacred being destroyed? Pretty awful, isn't it?
Sophia continued filming, sobbing as she documented the deliberate destruction. The ancient robes worn by saints and popes throughout history were dissolving into a chemical-stained mess.
There.
Vincent said finally, emptying the bottle.
All clean, just like your precious church's conscience.
Pope Leo knelt beside the ruined vestments, his hands hovering over the destroyed fabric without touching. Tears fell silently down his cheeks as 15 centuries of sacred history dissolved into nothing. The businessman's livestream had reached nearly 100,000 viewers. Comments of outrage flooded the screen as people around the world witnessed the destruction of irreplaceable religious artifacts. Vincent stood over the kneeling Pope, his chest heaving with exertion and rage.
Not so powerful now, are you? Without your golden treasures and fancy buildings, you're just another old man in a costume.
Sophia lowered her phone, her recording complete. Through her tears, she whispered,
How could you destroy some beautiful?
Beautiful.
Vincent turned on her viciously.
You want to know what's not beautiful? Growing up thinking God loved you, only to find out his representatives saw you as prey.
The words hung in the air like a confession. Pope Leo looked up from the ruined vestments, his face reflecting deep compassion despite his grief.
Mr. Benedetti, what happened to you?
Shut up.
Vincent's voice cracked.
Just shut up and get out of my shop.
The front door chimed as someone entered. All eyes turned to see a young man in seminary attire, about 25 years old, carrying a small suitcase.
Dad?
The young man's voice carried confusion and concern.
I came home early from St. Mary's Seminary to surprise you for Easter, but there are police cars outside, and…
His words died as he took in the scene. Pope Leo kneeling beside destroyed vestments, his father standing over them with an empty bleach bottle, Sophia crying as she held her phone. Michael? Vincent's face went white. What are you doing here? Michael Benedetti dropped his suitcase, his eyes moving from the ruined robes to his father to the Pope. Recognition dawned slowly on his face.
Holy Father,
Michael whispered, then looked at his father in horror.
Dad, what have you done?
Vincent's confident cruelty began to crumble.
Michael, you don't understand. He came here with his propaganda, trying to…
I understand perfectly.
Michael interrupted, his voice shaking.
You've destroyed sacred vestments that belong in a museum, not on your shop floor.
He knelt beside Pope Leo, his seminary training taking over as he examined the damage.
Your Holiness, I am so deeply sorry. These robes, they're ancient, aren't they?
Pope Leo nodded sadly.
They were worn by St. Peter himself, meant for this Easter celebration.
Michael's face went pale.
St. Peter's actual vestments?
He turned to his father with disbelief.
Dad, do you have any idea what you've done?
Vincent's bravado was evaporating rapidly.
You don't know what his organization…
His organization?
Michael stood, facing his father with growing anger.
Dad, this man changed my life. Pope Leo's speeches about mercy and forgiveness are what called me to the seminary in the first place.
The words hit Vincent like physical blows. Sophia continued recording, capturing the family drama unfolding in real time.
You?
Vincent stared at his son in shock.
You became a priest because of him.
Michael nodded firmly.
3 years ago, I was angry, lost, heading down a dark path. Then I heard him speak about how God uses broken people to do beautiful things, how the Church's past sins don't negate Christ's eternal love.
Pope Leo rose slowly, placing a gentle hand on Michael's shoulder.
Your father is in great pain, Michael. Sometimes pain makes us do things we regret.
Vincent watched in growing horror as his own son defended the man he just attacked.
Dad,
Michael said softly,
tell me this isn't about what happened to you at St. Joseph's when you were 12.
The shop fell silent except for the sound of Vincent's labored breathing. The businessman's live stream audience had grown to over 200,000 viewers witnessing this family revelation. Vincent's face crumpled.
You know,
I've always known,
Michael replied gently.
Aunt Maria told me years ago. She said it was why you stopped going to church, why you changed your name from Benedetto to Benedetti.
Pope Leo stepped forward, his eyes filled with compassion.
Mr. Benedetti, what was done to you was evil, inexcusable. I am deeply sorry.
Sorry?
Vincent's voice was barely a whisper now.
You're sorry. That man destroyed my childhood, my faith, my ability to trust anyone, and your church protected him.
You're right.
Pope Leo said simply.
We failed you. I failed you. Every day I carry the weight of those failures.
Sophia continued recording as Vincent began to shake. 40 years of suppressed trauma finally breaking through his walls of anger.
He told me it was God's will.
Vincent choked out.
That if I told anyone, I'd go to hell. I was 12 years old, and I believed him.
Michael moved toward his father, tears in his eyes.
Dad, I'm so sorry. I never knew it was that bad.
I've spent 50 years hating everything that man represented.
Vincent continued, his voice breaking completely.
And now my own son wants to become one of them.
Pope Leo knelt down and picked up a fragment of the destroyed vestment, holding it gently.
Mr. Benedetti, your anger is justified. Your pain is real. And your son's calling doesn't diminish either of those truths.
Vincent stared at the Pope in confusion.
How can you say that? I just destroyed something priceless that belonged to you.
You destroyed fabric and thread.
Pope Leo replied quietly.
Sacred, yes, but still just material things. What was done to you destroyed something far more precious. Your trust in God's love.
The businessman's livestream had caught the attention of major news networks. CNN, Fox News, and international outlets were picking up the story as it unfolded in real time. Sophia lowered her phone, realizing she had documented something more powerful than vandalism. She had captured a moment of profound human healing.
But
Vincent gestured helplessly at the ruined robes.
I destroyed St. Peter's vestments. I'm going to hell for sure now.
Michael put his arm around his father's shoulders.
Dad, if God can forgive what was done to you, He can certainly forgive what you just did.
Pope Leo stood, still holding the fragment of destroyed fabric.
Mr. Benedetti, I want you to know something. The priest who hurt you, Father Martinez, was defrocked and imprisoned in 1987. It took too long, but justice was finally served.
Vincent's eyes widened.
You know about Father Martinez?
When I became Pope, I ordered a complete review of every abuse case in the Chicago Archdiocese. Your name was in those files. I've been praying for you for months, hoping someday we might meet, and I could ask your forgiveness.
The revelation stunned everyone in the shop. Vincent had spent decades believing his abuser went unpunished, protected by a corrupt system.
He's in prison,
Vincent whispered.
He died there 3 years ago.
Pope Leo confirmed gently.
Alone, abandoned by everyone. His victims finally had their voices heard.
Vincent's legs gave out, and he sank into a nearby chair. 50 years of rage built on the belief that justice would never come began to crumble. Sophia approached cautiously.
Mr. Benedetti, do you want me to delete the recording?
Vincent looked up at her, then at the live stream still broadcasting to hundreds of thousands. No, he said quietly.
Let people see what hatred does. Let them see what I became.
Michael knelt beside his father.
Dad, you're not defined by your worst moment. This man taught me that.
Pope Leo approached Vincent slowly.
Mr. Benedetti, I have a request. Not as Pope, but as a fellow child of God who has also known pain.
Vincent looked up, his eyes red with tears.
What?
This Easter Sunday, I'll be celebrating Mass without St. Peter's vestments. But I would like very much if you and Michael would join me. Not in the Vatican. I understand that would be too difficult. But somewhere small, quiet, where a father and son could begin to heal together.
The offer hung in the air like a bridge between two broken worlds. Vincent stared at Pope Leo for a long moment.
Why? After what I did to you, why would you want me anywhere near your church?
Pope Leo smiled with genuine warmth.
Because Christ came for the broken, Mr. Benedetti. And today, in this shop, I met a man whose brokenness mirrors my own church's failures. Perhaps together we can find a path toward healing.
Sophia wiped tears from her eyes as she watched the transformation occurring before her cameras.
The robes.
Vincent said suddenly, looking at the destroyed vestments.
I'll pay for them. I'll sell the shop if I have to.
Pope Leo shook his head.
They were priceless, Mr. Benedetti. No amount of money could replace them.
Vincent's face fell further.
Then how can I ever make this right?
Michael spoke up quietly.
Maybe by letting your healing become someone else's hope, Dad. Maybe by showing other abuse victims that anger doesn't have to be the end of the story.
Pope Leo nodded approvingly.
Your son is wise. Pain shared becomes bearable. Healing shared becomes hope.
Sophia stepped forward.
Your Holiness, my recording. What should I do with it?
Pope Leo considered the question carefully.
Share it, but share all of it. The destruction, the pain, the truth, and the possibility of redemption. Let people see that even the darkest moments can become doorways to grace.
Vincent stood slowly, approaching the ruined vestments.
Will you forgive me? I know I don't deserve it, but...
Pope Leo picked up another fragment of the destroyed robe.
Mr. Benedetti, I forgive you completely, not because you deserve it, but because forgiveness is the only force powerful enough to break chains that have bound you for 50 years.
The two men embraced, the Pope and the man who had just destroyed his most treasured possession. Around them, witnesses wiped away tears as they realized they had seen something miraculous. Michael joined the embrace, the three generations of Catholic men united in a moment of profound grace. Sophia ended her recording with the image of that embrace, knowing she had documented something far more valuable than the vestments that were destroyed. She had captured the moment when hatred transformed into hope. As news of the incident spread worldwide, it became more than just a story about vandalism. It became a testament to the power of forgiveness, the possibility of healing, and the truth that sometimes our greatest wounds can become our most powerful ministry. Vincent Benedetti closed his shop for a week, spending the time in intensive counseling with abuse survivors. When he reopened, a new sign hung in his window. All are welcome here, especially the broken. And that Easter Sunday in a small parish church on Chicago's South Side, Pope Leo XIV celebrated Mass in simple white robes, while Vincent and Michael Benedetti sat in the front pew, beginning their own journey toward resurrection. Sometimes the most sacred vestments are not made of gold and silk, but of forgiveness and grace. And if you enjoyed this story, please share your thoughts in the comments below. God bless you.